second? Live streaming? Okay. Okay, it's 5:30. Call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Good to see so many faces in person. And very happy to see Pam virtually.
One more day of lockdown.
We've missed you, Pam.
Thank you.
You look good.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
I have no announcements. Does anybody else have announcements to make? You all had a chance to look at the agenda.
Yes.
Yes.
Need a motion to approve the agenda?
All so moved. And I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Bye.
The agenda has been approved. Have you all had an opportunity to look at the minutes from the June 8th? Okay. Any commentary, any corrections or questions?
I move we approve the minutes. The June 8th meeting.
Is a motion to approve? Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes have been approved. I see no public wanting to comment. Holly, are you aware of anybody?
I did not receive any requests for public comment.
You're up.
All right. Does everybody have a copy of the library manager's report? Does anybody, I did print off a few extra ones if anybody needs. Okay, good. Am I wrong? Thank you, John. Okay, so apologies for not getting them sent out until yesterday. It turns out that 4 months is kind of a lot of data to compile. So it took me a moment. But as you can see, I'm happy to report that even though we did have some staffing departures, but they were departures for, great reasons in terms particularly of Jennifer Robertson, who got promoted to a district manager position for Timberland. We're very proud of her. And Scott Sills left to pursue employment in Pierce County, where he lives, a little closer to home. But we were very lucky to get two experienced, highly trained Timberland employees that transferred over. Matt Roach, who's been adult services librarian at Tumwater and Olympia, decided he needed to try the third of us out. So I'm hoping that he's happy with us. Yes. And then Diane Follett, who is public services specialist. Actually, that's actually one position higher than a library assistant. Timberland is reevaluating and revising their anywhere mobile services. And after a departure of a few staff from that department, so they went ahead and gave her the option of where she'd like to come, and she chose to come to Lacey, which is wonderful because as you'll see in the report, we got a new van, and we're starting up we're using it to do lots of expanded outreach opportunities, and we're also hoping to build some mobile service stops in areas where people might have a little harder time getting to us. So we're reaching out to those now. We are. As you all talk about in programming and things in a minute, we're already going to different places in Lacey, and we are, and then we're also go at the food bank regularly, and we're looking at possibilities of helping out with Tenino down in Rainier and Dakota, because the Tenino libraries have much less staff. So, and I also put in a bunch of requests for Timberland next year to outfit the van with like an awning and some shelves on the inside, so we could just drive it somewhere, park it, set up, and actually provide, refer services out of the van. So I'm very excited about it. Yeah, that's part of our East Thurston County or General Thurston County, because we have lots of places where people are at that can't always get to. That's pretty exciting. Summer library program has started and finished. Did anybody here happen to participate and pick up a free book? I see lots of.
My wife.
Okay, well, tell your wife that she did good. We have quite a few things going on as we sort of transitioned in from virtual only into in-person, which was definitely a transition period during the summer for us. Most of the things we did were either what we would consider passive activities, which mean that if a library was open, people could drop in and participate in something. There wasn't a set time. It kind of keeps things spread out. We had really fun scavenger hunts for the kids to do. We had story trail at the regional athletic complex, which is the walk along, tell a story with your family out there. We've been doing some monthly story times at different locations. Particularly is continuing is the sensory tool house in Lacey, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a moment. And of course, we continue to partner with the city for our children's entertainment series on Tuesday nights down at Huntington Park. So that's pretty great. So now we're back in person for regular programming. We are, we're not going to see, I want to just kind of prepare everyone, particularly at Lacey, we're not going to see the same number of programs that we saw pre-pandemic. One of the things that we have been asked to do is to try and bring more of our services and programming and opportunities out into the community for folks that might not be able to get here. And that's we only have so many staff, we kind of have to balance those two needs. So what we're hoping to do, while we may not have the quantity of programming we had in the past, we hope that the quality will be even better than it was previously. So some of the things that we're doing, we're still supporting, Timberland is still in its strategic directive. I think this is the last year or possibly second to last year of it, double check that, where our strategic directives are to support opportunities for birth through 5 and local communities, and equity, diversity, and inclusion are underrepresented and communities that we don't see as much as we'd like to. So we are doing, and a lot of hopefully intergenerational opportunities as well. So we have story time is back on Saturdays. We have 2 family story time sessions on Saturday morning, one at 9:30 and one at 11. And then we have a once a month play group on Tuesday mornings that's mostly for toddlers that it just happened yesterday. It's really cute. The theme was building things, and we had these big foam square block together. So the kids were making forts and the parents were interacting together and the kids were playing together, and it was very nice, very lovely. Everything that we use in those events are very eminently cleanable. So we do scrub everything off after each program, so they come to use fresh and sanitized. We also are doing a My Washington digital photography contest right now for teens and adults this month and next month. And we are asking folks this month, it is, I think the theme is my neighborhood, and then the next one is My Washington, I think. And each of those, we were encouraging people to take a picture of what that means to them. You know, whether it's a nature event or whether it's people gathering or just whatever comes to mind, and then submit the entries. And we will be having prizes for the winners, which will include having the photographs reproduced, framed, and hung as art in our library in Hawkesbury for a period of 3 or 4 months. So, so we're pretty excited. This is also secretly a way for me to get more awesome community graded art for our members. Because we, had the Lacey Loves to Read bookmarks up, which we will do too. So we're trying this too. And then, of course, right now, as Charlotte mentioned before the meeting started, the quilt show is going on right now. It's beautiful in there. And we have a quilt brochure with information, and you can also vote for your favorite 2 quilts every time you visit the library. We'll have some honored quilts for and awards for those artists, or those quilt artists who have chosen the most popular ones. And then to wrap up the quilt show in October, the first weekend, this room for both the Friday and Saturday, October 7th and 8th, will host the Olympia Weavers Guild, who will have setup of their different products and creations that they've made weaving, as well as weaving demonstrations on demand. Just drop in anytime we're open those 2 days. There'll be volunteers in here to talk with you about the craft and about the neat things that are going on. So we're pretty excited about that. We're jumping off in a big way, but also in a way that is interactive and allows people to kind of drop in and spread out, and isn't cramming a lot of people in a small space. So we're still easing our way to that. Let's see here. Highlights of a few other things on there as well. You'll see, you're going to start seeing my reports with the in-person programming that will be showing up here. A little transition from virtual to programming, so just the things that are happening at Lacey or Hawks Prairie as they may happen. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight was, first of all, how we wrapped up our summer library program at the end of this year. Summer library program, when you sign up, you get one free book. And no matter what your age is, it's birth all the way up till, as long as you can still, get to us, you're good. And then we also give folks a book bag for the family to carry books in, and a couple of neat outdoor challenges, backyard birding and other types of plant identifiers for things to do outside in the summer, so it's nice. Scavenger hunt for the kids, calendar of events, and a log that has different kinds of literacy supporting activities. Literacy is incredibly important. Reading is, of course, the most literacy thing you can do, but there's lots of other things that awake and encourage and strengthen the part of your brain that helps support literacy. So all of the activities on our summer library program challenges are designed to help people do that, and particularly to help kids keep that part of the brain active during the school break. And and then if they do 10 of those, they get to come back and get a second free book. And then the kids also received a free pass to Point Defiance Zoo or Northwest Trek and to a reindeer skate. So pretty fun program. We gave out here at Lacey over this summer 1,486 free books to our participants. And at Hawks Prairie, we gave 153, which was really nice because it's about 10%, and that's about what we're seeing. We are 20,000 square feet. Hawks Prairie is 2,000. The circulation is about 10% of each one, so it's coming right along and nice. And as more people hear about Hawks Prairie, I'm sure that will continue to grow. One last highlight thing I wanted to point out is circulation statistics, which you will see on page 3. We have certainly noticed it feeling busier in the library these days. Some of us weren't 100% sure if it actually was busier or if we were just a little tired. Because, summer library program is traditionally 3 months of Black Friday for us, which we love. But it is always, a little bit of a breather when it wraps up. I took a look at our circulation statistics, which is the amount of materials, both physical and digital, that we lend to people for the month. And I would like to share those with you. If you check in the month of August, it says at Lacey, we had 82,890 physical and digital materials were borrowed that month, which is an increase of 18%. That's actually should be over the previous year. And then Hawks Prairie, because this is the first time open, 3,866 physical and digital materials were borrowed in August. In 2019, before the pandemic, the amount of physical and digital materials that were borrowed that August was 82,336. So we are at pre-pandemic levels, except in August of 2019, 20,000 of those were digital and the rest of the items were physical. This year, 30,000 are digital and 50,000 are physical. So the amounts have shifted by about 10,000 from physical to digital items. The number overall is the same, but more people are borrowing things electronically, and I attribute that 100% to the pandemic. People got really good at figuring out how to use our ebooks and downloadable resources and things during the year that we were not open.
I served in the 5th grade class at Olympia at the tail end of the school year last year, and they're supposed to be reading their library books, and I had a student say, "Can I read on my Chromebook my TRL book?" Yes, you can.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, we've my TRL. I can't tell you how grateful I am that we had the My TRL program going before the pandemic hit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I hope that was very helpful for particularly our kids who, and our teachers obviously too, but really for everybody for accessing services from home and things like that when we were not there. So yeah, so that's pretty, I think that's interesting. gonna share that with staff. I haven't told them yet. I thought I'd wait a little bit, be like, hey, just so you know, we are at pre-pandemic levels and you're doing really good. So I'm proud of you.
Now,
And we'll see.
when you say digital access, okay, is that about the same thing as I get at Barnes and Noble, where I go in there with the Nook and I just download books
Except you don't
and,
have to come into the library to do it. You can do it.
and I don't have to pay for it, or do I pay for it? I don't have to pay for it. You're kidding.
I feel terrible, James, that I have had you as a member of the board this long and I have not told you about the wonder of ebooks. We're gonna have to talk after.
It's the best thing ever.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now, the one thing that I always caution folks about when they, particularly folks who have been using ebooks at Barnes and Noble or through Amazon or anything like that, is that libraries, when we purchase ebooks, we are purchasing, it's just like we purchased a physical book. We only bought like one downloadable copy. Multiple people cannot access it at the same time because of licensing issues. So sometimes there are hold waits, there are wait times for borrowing a physical,
Oh,
or
okay.
borrowing a digital book.
it doesn't copy over to my Nooks that I'm carrying a copy in.
It does, but you will not be able to access it once the expiration period ends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Get
Yep.
3 weeks, and then if somebody's not waiting for it, and you need more time, you can
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
check that.
Yeah, the name of the app to use, depending on what you like to read on, is called Libby, Libby. And
Okay.
once you download that and input your library card information, again, no cost, you can get both regular ebooks, like you might find at Barnes and Noble, and Amazon books that work on Kindle, and you can do both. You just can't go, but you have to go through us and look at our catalog. You can't just like randomly go to Amazon and pull anything, because they would. But yeah,
I'll have to give it a.
give it a look. Yeah, give it a look. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I carry 174 books on my Nook.
Bless your heart, I've got 1,680. I teach you just a little bit on that. Yeah, no, I just have, I mean, but isn't it great? Isn't it neat that we live in a place where you can have access to your favorite books, literally in your pocket, wherever you go?
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And,
I took it to Ireland. I read a library book in Ireland.
Oh, that's
my
so
tablet.
cool. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, you can download them and have it available there. It's a
Yep.
pretty thing. So, yeah, so that's an interesting piece of information to kind of see how the pandemic has affected library services. But our computers are getting busier again. It's most of the time we can find an open computer. It's not quite as crowded as it was before, but they are much busier and people are still printing a lot, which is good because we changed, I think, I don't remember about that. Yeah, we mentioned that about the $44. It's now by the month, so people can print lots of stuff if they need to. Any questions? Anything on anything else?
Can I ask a question somewhat related?
Sure, always.
Do you ever do you use volunteers in the library?
That is an excellent question. Let me tell you a little bit about that. We did pre-pandemic, certainly. We have not, we have certainly had many folks interested in volunteering since we opened back up. We have been referring them to the Friends of the Library because the Friends can always use help with doing book sorting and helping with book sales, and all of the money they raise supports the things we're doing. We are looking at bringing back the volunteer program to at some level. I'm working on it a little bit right now, but some of the things that we're working on, because we don't have a large amount of volunteer opportunities. Of course, we are a union represented organization, so there's a certain amount of work that volunteers can do to make sure that they're not replacing a staff person. So what we are going to try, we're going to pilot it here probably in the next month, is we're going to be working with some community groups, Voice at North Thurston, probably Morningside, with folks who need those kind of opportunities for vocational training.
Yeah.
And we're going to try and prioritize those spaces for those folks at first and see how that goes. And continue to refer other folks who are interested in volunteering to help out with the Friends, at least for probably the next, I would say 6 months to a year or so, and kind of see how things shape out. So, yeah. So yes, but slowly.
Yeah, no, I was just kind of curious.
Yeah.
Great.
anything else about the manager's updates?
And just to refresh my memory, the budget memo got submitted correctly
submitted.
and everything was over there, and have we heard anything?
We have not heard anything about the budget, but I can share that Chris Baird, our contact at the city of Lacey, submitted in his budget. May we please repaint the interior of the library entirely, which we are very excited about the possibilities of that. Because the city has done a wonderful job keeping our paint up to date and looking good, but the color is still the same color that we did in, I think, 2011. And the name of the color is Senior Moment. And it's a little kind of a peachy beige and it's a little dated. We have some other colors that we've been using that we would really love to refresh the interior with. And so I'm hopeful that the city will approve that so we can christen the paint a little bit. Looks real nice. It's just not a color I'm still loving. Yeah. That's right. So, yeah.
Pam, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Have we heard anything back on the submittal for the two study rooms?
No, that's just what Scott was asking about, I think, and I don't imagine that we will hear anything yet until the budget has been discussed and approved at the city level.
Oh,
And that
okay.
usually happens about the end of the year, if I recall correctly, towards the end. Yeah, so yeah, I'm expecting that to be. a
So
little
we
bit-
presented it at the end and
Yes.
everything, but
Yeah.
there's no feedback from me. from
Not yet.
anybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
We met their deadline for submitting the request. Yeah, but there's a gap from when we must submit to when they deliver.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we weren't the only ones who asked for money. Because they have lots of stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, we also didn't get any, nobody from the city was like, oh my goodness, a negatively shocked type of thing. It was accepted with, the loveliness that it usually is. So that usually is, I think I'm going to be optimistic and hopeful.
Are you still pleased with the new flow and everything now that it's totally open?
So pleased.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah, we have a little bit more, if we have just a little bit more time, Charlotte, I'll share. We're wrapping up. We have one more little round of moving things around and doing some stuff in the building but then we'll probably be fully refreshed except for the paint part.
Right.
It may require a takeout day or two sometime in October. Depends on where, when city and my facility staff can get down here where they're working to make sure that there's more safe places for people to be in the building. But what we're going to do is we are going to take all the shelving that's currently on the teen end of the building, and we're going to empty it and move it all to the opposite end of the building. And we are going to put in one more row of teen shelving that's about, I think, say maybe like 48 to 52 inches or something, no, 66 inch shelving along the floor. Getting some new teen furniture to refresh that area, and so I can have the lounge chairs that are there back. Then we're taking down the two tall magazine shelving units, and we're putting all the magazines on the back walls of the other side of the library. And then we will have a much larger open space there that we're going to try and create some study and lounge spaces for folks to hang out, right? To read and do stuff and things like that. I've also replaced all of our old study carrels will be replaced with new 2 foot deep by 3 foot wide tables, similar to the tables that we have out there now and with the same finish. And then of course I'm also replacing the Friends old wooden bookshelves in their book sale space with library shelving. And we're putting a few more display units to retire some other wooden bookshelves over here. So it should look pretty, I mean, it already looks pretty fantastic. And we have brand new library shelving carts coming here in another couple of weeks, which for us is Christmas. Because some of our shelving carts have been with us for longer than I have. And that is 10 years this month.
Are they the squeaky ones? Are those the squeaky ones?
Ones we ordered or the ones that are old?
No, the ones you're replacing. Are you replacing this?
Yes, they are. Yes.
Okay.
Now, we've already retired the most squeaky and most in need of welding. And now we're going to retire everything but the finest, and the finest ones we're gonna keep for project cards. We have beautiful single-sided gray shelving cards. They're just like the ones at Hotspur that we got for years.
Oh.
It should look good, but yeah, I think the space is really fresh, really beautiful, very accessible, which is everything I wanted when we were doing our refresh. And between that and RFID and everything else that we've done, so that you can check out.
Prairie.
Were you the one that posted don't microwave your library books?
That was Megan, but yes.
No.
Yeah, it was on Facebook and it was a picture of a book that has obviously a little bit of a fire internal to it. Somebody got a book wet, opened the microwave to dry it out, but the RFID.
That has metal in it.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah, so we posted a caution, and of course, the patron was very apologetic and was very kind and did their due diligence, but we did post a cautionary warning that if you get your book wet, don't put it in the microwave because the chips and it will set everything on fire. We were happy that the patron's microwave was not destroyed. They were able to rescue the book and stop it before the microwave got damaged.
Oh, my.
Like it didn't burn the house.
Well, hey, yeah.
No.
Also, don't use ketchup as bookmark. Just to, yeah, I could do a whole presentation on weird things people use, as bookmarks, but I don't.
Okay, yeah. When shall we have our next meeting?
Pull out my calendar here.
I don't think we have anything.
Yeah, October.
How about, how do we feel about doing one in November on the 9th? That is the evening of the Friends meeting in the afternoon. The Friends meet every 2 months, and that could be a good wrap-up one for us, perhaps.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to have the last of the refreshes done by then. Maybe we could even do, do business, and then we could do just a tour of the new things. Since it's been a while since folks have been back in as a group. Would that be all right? Okay, well, let's do it then. Put that on my calendar.
What did you end up doing with the art that I dropped off?
I mean, the frames?
Yeah.
Oh, I still have them. I'm saving them for the photographs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I got them.
Okay.
Yeah, that was why I wanted those frames are gonna be perfect. That's the whole, yeah, we're gonna make them big and put them in there. Can't wait to use them. Thank you.
It's at 5:30 on November 9th, and I assume there'll be in-person and remote option.
Most likely, and we will be, and I'll have the room here again, just like that. So if folks can get the opportunity, if everybody is, able to come and do in person. But yeah, I say we do, we spend maybe the first half an hour doing business, and then library will close, and I'll give you a private tour of all the new improvements.
And we should have a new student.
And we should have our new student person by then too. Yeah, that sound good?
Yeah.
Is there anything for the good of the order? Sarah, do you recall when you and I first were serving on this board together, there was a roster that we had with all the members, the contact information.
I probably have that somewhere.
I'm interested in resurrecting
Yeah,
the
that would be
roster. I heard from everybody on email, except James, and I really wanted to call you and see if everything was okay. I don't have your contact information, just have an email for you.
Oh,
So
I think we
I would like to have that information available to the board members, so I think I will contact you via email. And
I
then
have
ask
a
if
final
you
go through with the doctors. And everything is going good. They did a echocardiogram. And the new valve is setting in properly, and it's replaced the old valve, and so everything is going great. And I'm back up to 3 days a week for exercise, and back up to almost all the activities that I had beforehand. And so I passed all my exams, and the doctor says he doesn't need to see me for another year. So,
Oh, that's fantastic.
news.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. James.
So-
So glad to hear.
yeah, so
Wonderful. Okay.
I would strongly recommend that anybody that has a problem with their aorta do that procedure.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It was, oh, man, in there at 5 in the morning, out at 7 in the afternoon.
Wow.
Great deal. All right. So anything else to wrap up?
Do we want to go around and say what we're reading?
I think we should.
Holly, would you like to start?
I'll let you start.
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
I read the coolest book and I have to share with you that I got this book idea from a blogger online that I follow. Her name is Jenny Lawson. She also is known as the Bloggess. She has written some of the most funny books I've ever read, including if you need a really funny book to lift you up, read Let's Pretend This Never Happened, which is a really great book. But she has they have a bookstore in Texas where she lives, and it's called the Nowhere Bookshop. And they do an online book club and choose a book, and then everybody gets online and shares about it. And the one she picked was so good. I was just overjoyed reading it. It is called The Book Eaters. And it is it's by, the author is Sunyi, Sunyi, Dean. And it is a book that is about, it's really hard to explain what it's about, but it's sort of a cross between, it's like take Dracula except books. They eat books. And what is in the content of the books shapes how they like live their life and the knowledge they have and how they react. And so it's also like a lot about feminism and how different people are placed based on the things that they read. Like, because there's not that many book eaters, the women are raised on stories of princesses and fairy tales, so that they will be willing to get married and you'll have children to make more book eaters. And they're not allowed to read like Jane Austen or or eat Jane Austen or other things like that for fear of it infecting them. It's amazing. So I highly recommend Sunyi Dean's Book Eaters. It was, I haven't read a book like it in I think 20 years. It was really, really intriguing. Thank you. It's a good book club. Yeah, lots of things to question about. There's a lot of really interesting stuff.
James.
The current book in right now is, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it has to do with the neocons getting us into Iraq and how absolutely totally off base they were and how far out of trying to in turn establish and what they were trying to establish as against what they were selling the public and what the differences between those. And the only way they could end up with was to put together a story that they assembled. And they assembled it all with bits and pieces of information that if you ever took those pieces of information and looked at them and analyzed, they didn't make sense. But by wrapping them together, they were able to sell it to the public. And we went into Iraq with no plan, no attempt at trying to handle the groups of people that are there, and no idea of how we were going to democratically redo the government of Iraq.
What's the name of the book?
That's what I was trying to remember, but
I think I've been there too.
yeah,
I think of it, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll come back.
but it just, and I get wrapped into these because spending 4.5 years working with Turkmenistan in the 4 divisions of Turkmenistan, and the understanding of how the problem and setup is, how in the world anybody could be so stupid as to go in and think that we're going to re-democratic this government with Iraqis coming out of the universities in the United States and putting them in charge over there. And we screwed it up so bad. And and you sit there and look at it. And like the author says, it's not the first time. And it's not the last time. It's just one of the times that we've deluded ourselves in that believing that we have the ideal government. So the rest of you should jump on board.
That sounds really fascinating.
Oh. If you're in Afghanistan or Iraq or Turkmenistan or Kazakhstan or any, you have to deal with the tribal structures. And those tribal structures do not deal with each other. There is no, well, let's just have a vote.
Yeah.
They do not, they've never run it that way. They've never done it. They have no concept of how that works. So
Fascinating.
anyway, that's where I am.
Thank you for sharing that.
What you didn't need to know.
I just finished up Never by Ken Follett, basically, World War III atomic war story between China and the United States. It's a good book, it's a long book, and the ending left you wanting more. I didn't like the ending, I'm not gonna give it away, but yeah, it was fascinating to think about what might happen if.
Pam, do you want to go next or you want me to go?
Oh, I just finished reading Cold Millions by Jess Walter. It was a book my neighborhood book club picked, and took place in Spokane, so it was interesting. Took place around early 1900s. A lot of things about union busting, or when they're trying to unionize and things like that. So it's really interesting to read it, because I think I mentioned I read it while I was on vacation, and I was in Ireland and Northern Ireland and Scotland. So while we're doing these tours, we're learning. I knew quite a bit about Irish history already, but you're learning more about Irish history and the history of Northern Ireland and Scotland and English rule and all the things that happened during the famine and things like that. So you talk about how we keep making mistakes, and and then you got the same sort of repression that was going on in our own country. A certain group of people wanted to control this town and have every industry and keep people under their thumbs, so to speak, by paying them a minimal wage and then controlling the stores and everything that they shopped at. And so it was I'm not sure I could say I enjoyed it. It was an interesting book to read. About a very sad time in our history and a lot of sad events.
Well, I'm not sure that you're all going to be very excited about the books I've been reading.
It's books.
Every summer, all the elementary schools in North Michigan Public Schools have 2 training days for staff. And this year, for the first time, I was offered a 10-minute segment to do book talks. We've never had book talks in our training days.
Wow.
And so I chose 3 picture books and an unpublished middle grade book. But my favorite, well, I have a lot of favorites. My favorite picture book, it's the only book this whole summer that made me laugh out loud. Picture book called Chez Bob, C-H-E-Z Bob. It's about a hungry alligator who wants birds to fly into his mouth and down his belly. You know the book I'm talking about?
Yes, I
Oh my
do.
God.
That's
So-
a great book.
Because the birds aren't going to fly into his mouth. He has this idea, he's gonna open up a birdseed restaurant on the end of his nose. He totally intends to eat his customers. Have you seen Pretty Woman? Where they're at the opera?
Yeah.
And the woman in the next box leans over and says to Julia Roberts, "How did you like it, dear?" And Julia Roberts says, "Did I almost peed my pants?"
Yes.
And the way it's kind of shocked and confused, Richard leans over and says, she liked it better than Pirates of Penzance. Well, in Chez Bob, the first customer in the restaurant says, "This is so good, I'm going to tell all my friends." And Bob, thinking a lot of publicity, he says,
then I will not eat you.
I said, it's nice to meet you. Oh, look, and Bob never eats a single burger.
Oh, that's
So,
wonderful.
it was a lot of fun, but I don't think you guys need to rush right now.
Not unless we need a big laugh. But
No.
sometimes you do. Okay.
I'll email you the title of the book.
There you go. That would be lovely.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I do have to tell you is my wife and I've either gotten her interested or some, we now have long discussion about my political convoluted development into from I've got an unusual childhood and unusual growth that as I keep telling people, I've been married now for 45 years and we have moved 28 times.
Wow.
So, and that's, I've worked all over the western part of the US or lived in it. Most of the, or a good half of the eastern part and 4 foreign countries.
Yeah.
And you just get this image that comes up in comparison of every time somebody says, well, this is this, and you go, oh yeah, except right over here.
Yeah.
So,
Very cool.
Is it good to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Did I hear something?
that's
That's
good.
what I thought. All right.
Okay,
Great.
I started it.
Yeah, should have to vote.
We
on
don't.
that. No, no. Okay. The meeting's adjourned at 6:12.
6:12.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you,
Good to
Pam.
see you.
In person next month or next meeting.
Yeah, yes, all right.